The fate of Cory Bigsby is now in the hands of a jury. About an hour ago, 12 jurors went behind closed doors to start deliberating.
Angelique Arintok has followed this trial since day one. She joins us live now with the attorney's last remarks during closing arguments. Angelique.
Attorneys took pretty much all morning to deliver closing arguments in front of members of the jury. Afterward, court officials selected two people at random to pull to become the alternates, so they received the go-ahead to leave. Now, the jury of 12, made up of 8 women and 4 men, are in a room inside the courthouse as we speak, deciding Cory Bigsby's fate. Bigsby faces charges in connection to his young son, Cody's death. He reported him missing on January 31st, 2022. Prosecutors had 2 chances to go up during closing arguments because they have to prove Bigsby's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Hampton Commonwealth's attorney Anton Bell said all the evidence, including Cody's brother's testimony, points to Bigsby's guilt. Meanwhile, lead counsel for Bigsby's defense, Curtis Brown, said none of the evidence shown to the jurors directly connect his client to the murder of Cody or that even a murder took place. He kept reiterating to the jury, reasonable doubt equals not guilty. Brown insisted prosecutors are using sympathy to prove their case and not evidence. Meanwhile, Bell reminded jurors about one version of Bigsby's jailhouse confessions in a composition notebook where Bigsby detailed beating Cody to death. Bell called that, quote, confirmation. Jurors will decide whether Bigsby is guilty or not guilty on 2 charges, one for second-degree murder and one for concealing a body in connection to Cody's death. Live in Hampton, Angelique Arintok, 13 News Now.
Angelique, thank you. And while the jury deliberates, they can review any evidence that was presented in that courtroom. And Ashley, 13 News Now spoke with legal analyst Ed Booth last night, who explained the possible verdicts when it comes to this trial.
Yeah, that's right, Bethany. He explained that while research shows, while many jurors have made up their minds by the time closing arguments are made, this is still a highly emotionally driven case. The jury's legally bound to reach a unanimous verdict based solely on the evidence each side provided. And a reminder, they're coming up with a verdict again on charges of second-degree murder and concealing a body.
We could effectively wind up with guilty on both, guilty on one and not the other. I mean, you can debate sort of whether or not it would make sense based on the facts to have, guilty on one and not on the other, but it's, strictly speaking, possible.
Okay, and if they cannot come to an agreement on the charges? Well,
with any criminal case, if a jury cannot reach a unanimous verdict, there may ultimately be a mistrial. Now, that's true in this case, that's true in any other criminal case. The court tries to avoid that, but it's ultimately up to the jurors to reach a unanimous verdict.
And again, we'll be following developments in this trial all day long. 13 News Now will have the latest ahead on 13 News Now at 4. In the meantime, you can get updates on air, online, and on the 13 News Now Plus app.